The UFC touches down in Anaheim, California this weekend for UFC 298 going down at the Honda Center, and it is headlined by a featherweight matchup between Alexander Volkanovski looking to defend his featherweight title for the sixth time against undefeated 14-0 Elliott Topuria. The co-main event is a middleweight clash between former champion Robert Whittaker and former title challenger Paulo Costa, not to mention a high-stakes bantamweight matchup between Dvalishvili and Henry Cejudo. This card is riddled with top fights, very entertaining fights, and fights that could potentially go down as fight of the night candidates. But you guys are here for the quick picks version of the full breakdown of UFC 298. If you guys are looking for the in-depth breakdowns for this, make sure you guys check out the MMA Lawcast, which I drop every Monday. So if you guys are looking for that, link for that is in the description below, or you can click the link that's above my head. All right. Hope you're laced up and ready to go because we are off and running with the first fight of the night, which goes down between Andrea Lee and Miranda Maverick. Now, Lee is on a very tough run over her last 8 fights as she has a 2-6 record. However, she's going up against a 26-year-old Miranda Maverick who's very tough, very strong, and going to be very difficult to deal with in that clinch realm, especially when Maverick showcases how strong she is in this matchup. Lee may be the better technical striker here, but I expect Maverick to be competitive in that realm, but eventually drag this fight into the clinch position and to the ground where Maverick should be able to control it and suck the energy out of Lee and the confidence as we've seen Lee break in the past as well. I think Maverick grinds this fight out and wins it on the scorecards. Next up, we got Elliott going up against Val Woodburn. I'm surprised to see Elliott as such a massive favorite in this matchup, but it's tough to be confident in Val Woodburn considering the lack of tools he brings to the table. The intriguing thing about this matchup is that Woodburn is coming down to welterweight for the first time in his career, which is surprising considering he's 5'8" and usually not that big. Elliott will have the experience advantage as well as the grappling advantage here, and I expect him to grind this fight out, slowing down Woodburn and eventually finding a late finish in this matchup. Minus 310 is a little bit too wide for me, and I think that honing in on those late round props for Elliott will be the key to extracting as much profit from this matchup as possible. Next up, we got Josh Quinlan going up against Danny Barlow. Now, Barlow is looking to hand Quinlan back-to-back losses for the first time in his career, and he did earn his contract through the Contender Series late last year. Danny Barlow is a very solid striker who utilizes southpaw stance to mass effect. This guy is able to go out there and utilize his power hand down the pipe with speed and power, which has knocked out plenty of opponents. 5 of his 7 wins have come by knockout, but he has shown in 2 of his matchups that he can go the 15 minutes and still come out successful. He comes from a wrestling background, which I think will be important for him. Quinlan may look to rely on his BJJ black belt to pull off the victory here, but I expect Barlow to keep this fight upright, and from there, he should be able to find the knockout within the first or second round. Next up, we got a light heavyweight matchup between Zhang Mingyang and Brandon Ribeiro. Both of these guys love to throw down in the pocket, but I think Ribeiro has a little bit more options in terms of getting his hand raised. He is very calm, cool, and collected, especially when opponents try to put the pressure on him, and he doesn't mind throwing power from his back foot. But I think his key to victory in this matchup will be able to take Mingyang to the mat, and from there, he does great work in terms of finding the dominant position required to posture up and land big shots to TKO his opponents. I expect that to be his key to victory here, and I expect it to come through within the first or second round. Next up, we got the ultra prospect Rinya Nakamura going up against Carlos Vera. Now, Nakamura is a high-level wrestler who has been to the Olympics, usually has been relying on his big power punching style over his last couple of fights. However, I expect him to have all the advantages in this matchup over the 36-year-old Carlos Vera, who is looking to make his UFC debut. Nakamura is a very talented prospect at only 28 years old. I expect him to go 9-0 this weekend with another early stoppage. Next up, we got a heavyweight matchup between Marcos Rogerio de Lima taking on Justin Tafa. De Lima is looking to bounce back from that knockout loss that he suffered at the hands of Derek Lewis mid last year. And he's going up against a heavy puncher here in Justin Tafa, who can shut out anybody's lights as he showcased during his 3-fight winning streak. But De Lima has solid power of his own, good leg kicks to possibly slow down his opponent, but also the grapple heavy style that could keep Tafa ineffective with his power as he has to fight off of his back. Obviously, things are going to be very sweaty for De Lima as long as this fight takes place on the feet, but I think he has matured enough throughout his UFC career to showcase that he has good enough fight IQ to take this fight to the ground and keep Tafa from being able to get off on his power. Give me Lima and Lima by decision. Next up, we got Amanda Lemos going up against Mackenzie Dern. Dern taking this fight on short notice. Dern is obviously looking to bounce back after her knockout loss to Jessica Andrade back in November. And she's facing another power puncher here in Lemos who could definitely provide a similar result to her last fight. Lemos is trying to bounce back after her own defeat last time around as she came up short against current flyweight champion Weili Zhang. Lemos is very dangerous on the feet, and I expect her power to come through once again for her as she keeps Dern at bay and eventually finds that knockout in the second round, with Dern inconsistent and unable to complete her takedowns. Before getting to the main card, I just want to take less than a minute to quickly plug the MMA Fight Archive. If you do your own research and love to watch fight tape, then you know the struggles of scouring the web for links to these fights. Luckily, the MMA Fight Archive has everything you need in one spot, from links to past fights to important fighter links to like their social media, MMA decisions, UFC stats, and best fight odds profiles. You can find it all on the MMA Fight Archive. With over 3,000 fighter profiles spanning over 16 promotions from all over the world, the MMA Fight Archive ensures you leave no stone unturned when you're doing your research. There's a reason top cappers, analysts, coaches, fighters, and commentators use this service. Try it out yourself for free with a 7-day free trial. Link for that in the description below. All right, let's get right to the main card. We got a middleweight matchup between Anthony Hernandez and Roman Kopylov. Hernandez is looking to continue his winning streak, which is currently at 4 right now, showcasing his grapple heavy style and pressure heavy style, which has broken many opponents in the past. He's going to look to dispatch of Kopylov, who is riding a 4-fight winning streak, of which he has finished all 4 of them. Kopylov is very dangerous when he gets in his groove and starts letting go with his combinations, but I think Hernandez will continue to keep him on the back foot, pushing him up against the cage, chain wrestling, and eventually breaking Kopylov and finishing him late on in this matchup. I was hoping that there would be enough public love for Kopylov's finish-heavy style, but it seems like the public is privy on how dangerous Hernandez can be, and I'll have to lean Hernandez here, getting a 3rd-round submission victory. Next up, a high-stakes bantamweight matchup between Merab Dvalishvili and Henry Cejudo. Dvalishvili has been going out there and making opponents look like amateurs, especially in his last matchup against former bantamweight champion Petr Yan. Dvalishvili normally attempts more than 15 to 20 takedowns a matchup and does not mind that his opponents continuously work back to their feet, because he's able to put them right back on their butt with his high cardio, high pace, and high output style. His technique is not the greatest, but it's just his ability to continuously work and force his opponents to make mistakes, which he is able to capitalize on and continue to make it look good for the judges when his fights inevitably hit the scorecards. Even though Cejudo will have the technical advantages in this matchup, I think that his prime is just past him at this point, and he's going to struggle to get off on his own type of offense in this matchup against Dvalishvili. Give me Dvalishvili by decision. Next up, we got Jeff Neal going up against Ian Garry. Neal is looking to bounce back after losing to Shavkat Rakhmonov last year and hopes that he can go out there and knock off a prospect, something that he tried to do last time out. He is a very deadly combination striker with big power in his hands, which made him so feared as he initially came into the UFC. He was knocking out and knocking off opponents left and right, but he has fallen on hard times as he is 2-3 over his last 5 fights. Those 2 wins over Santiago Ponzinibbio and Vicente Luque continue to show people that he is still capable of high-level performances. The way he matches up against Garry here leads me to believe he could potentially pull off the upset. I think he will be successfully able to close the pocket and exchange with Garry there, eventually opening up a knockout opportunity for him. Garry relies on his length and his reach to keep opponents at bay, but given the experience and technical advantages Neal could carry in this matchup, I think he can go out there and pull off the upset with a 2nd-round knockout. Moving over to the co-main event, we got Robert Whittaker going up against Paulo Costa. Whittaker obviously making it very difficult for himself to get back into title talks, especially with coming up short in opportune moments. Last time around, he dropped the ball as a -300 favorite to now champion Dricus du Plessis. Whittaker normally uses a karate style, blitzing in and out of range from his opponents with his hands and nasty kicks whenever his opponents are not suspecting them. He also has a very underrated wrestling game, which I think would be very important for him to try to implement in this matchup. I think if he's able to stay away from the big power that Costa presents, he should be able to get up on the judges' scorecards and win this fight. Moving over to the main event, the highly anticipated featherweight matchup here, as champion Volkanovski looks to defend against Elliott Topuria. Now, people seem to be be very low on Volkanovski due to his last loss, which came at the hands of lightweight champion Islam Makhachev, but this is a completely different stylistic matchup that he has to go against. For Topuria, this is a huge step up in competition for him, from fighting guys like Bryce Mitchell and Josh Emmett to the most complete featherweight possibly of all time in Alexander Volkanovski. I think we'll see the master game plan executor in Volkanovski go out there and stifle the power punching style of Topuria and even try to grind this fight out on the mat, where Topuria holds a BJJ black belt, but Volkanovski has stellar submission defense and his ability to put a pace and pressure on his opponents that they're unable to keep up with. Topuria is a high-level prospect. Do not get me wrong. I do think he could potentially get the featherweight title, but this is a huge step up in competition for him. And I think Volkanovski is going to show him a thing or two, handing out a veteran lesson and defending the title by decision. There you guys go. Quick picks for UFC 298. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure you guys drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see you guys again later today for the free parlay. See you guys then. Peace.